Here, I'm probably going to walk you around. Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, fancy.
Yes, it tells you when it's being recorded. It's like,
Nice.
hello, record you.
I'll be back.
Make sure everybody. So I want to welcome everybody. I'm Constance Gillen, the director of Hope Christian Academy. I've been the director for, gosh, 2 years now. And I just want to everyone, Homeschool 101. I want to give a little bit of background about Hope. Hope is a laws of the state of Alabama. Been in existence, as I said, about 15 years now, and we serve the entire state of Alabama. We have families all over the state together, and we provide support the state together. That everybody can the information that they and we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to get this information. Now, to homeschool legally in Alabama, there are 3 legal choices. There's private tutor, private school, and the church school, which is what we do. The private tutor is only open to certified teachers, and which doesn't apply to most people, but that requires weekly reporting to the Board of Education. So we actually have a lot of certified teachers who even join a church school for the freedom that it gives them. The next option is the private school option. Private school option became available in 2014. With that 2014 legislation, it just defined, it didn't actually change a lot, it just defined a private school to include any non-governmental entity, and you as an individual can be an entity. So that gives you an opportunity to open a private school in your own home, but there are several requirements, one of which is a PE program that matches the character and content of the public school system. And because they have one curriculum requirement, that opens the door for additional requirements of curriculum. Now they don't have them just yet, but that does open the door crack. The other thing is they require immunizations, background checks, and the reporting to the local Board of Education at least weekly is what it says online, is what the actual statute states. So the church school, which is the third option, gives you complete freedom. Aside from what the church school requires, we ask for grades and attendance twice a year, and we maintain those records. In the 13 years we've been in operation, the state has never asked for those records. We do maintain them in case you have some kind of a court proceeding. You know, we've had guardianship issues where we've had to provide those to guardian ad litems, which are lawyers for the children in any kind of a court case. So these are some of the things that are available. The church schools basically are exempt from everything except attendance reporting. The attendance is supposed to be maintained by the church school. So the church school then has their requirements, whatever they are, in order to enroll. So makes it really easy, gives you a lot of freedom, and just that's kind of the 3 legal options in a nutshell. If you're interested in more information, more specifics about the state law, you can check that out on our website. There's on the Homeschool Alabama page of our website at HopeChristAcad.org. So let's get into the fun stuff, curriculum. Where do you find curriculum? There are tons of curriculum options available. You can use books. You can do what we call a box set, where you go to a Becca, a Bob Jones, or LifePack, or one of these different curriculum companies, do a quick assessment. So you're going to want to figure out what grade level your child's at for each individual course, English, math, science, social studies. Once you've done that, then you order the whole box set for the year. You could either order it grade by grade or class by class. Pardon me, hiccup. That gives you the option to customize that box set to provide the educational requirements your child has. You'll find that you may have a child who is tracking at grade level in, say, language arts and history and science, but maybe they're way advanced in math, or maybe they have a math deficiency. So you can just shift that grade level for that particular book set. And that's one of the real beauties of home education, is you have the ability to customize that curriculum. You can do that with anything. I talk about box sets first because that's a very common form of curriculum. You can also do what I call eclectic homeschooling, where you take, I actually used a curriculum or two each year as a foundation, and then enriched it 6 ways to Sunday, because I never found one curriculum that I was truly happy with. My own son was easily bored and a little on the gifted end, so I had to kind of keep enriching his curriculum to make sure we kept him interested and challenged, because the last thing we want is an unchallenged child. We want them to keep working hard. So that's eclectic homeschooling, or there's another variation of that called delight-led learning, where you have a basic outline, maybe not an entire lesson plan, but an outline for the year, and you give them basically a menu. Here are the things we're going to cover this year. Which one do you want to choose this week? Do we want to study the American Revolution? Do we want to study, do we want to study inventors and inventions? Do we want, when it comes to history and science, you can mix it up a little bit. History is often taught chronologically, but you can sit down at the beginning of the year and discuss with your child, well, we have to cover US history, world history, geography. So where do we want to start? Do we want to start with European history this year? Do we want to do American history? Do we want to do Asian history? Do we want to do ancient history? Do we want to cover economics? So that's another way to get started with your curriculum. And then there's also a ton of online curriculum. I'm not a big fan of total online curriculum because I see that students' handwriting suffers, and kids like mine who really need more enrichment don't tend to respond well to the online curriculum because it can be a little monotonous for them. There's a lot of repetition. And it's harder to kind of move along when you've got the concept down because it all goes in sequence. So there will be lots and lots of review. The other option, there's a video on our Facebook page called Homeschooling for Free. It's also posted on our school YouTube channel, and that'll give you an option for lots and lots of free curriculum or almost free curriculum. I want to encourage you to hit the Use Curriculum Free Cycle that's been hosted by Hope since its inception. We want to make sure that to make home education as affordable as possible and as available to everyone as possible. So that's on Meridian Street in the Huntsville area. So please avail yourself of that curriculum that has been donated with the express purpose of trying to make this affordable and available to everyone. We have any questions about curriculum so far? No? Reporting requirements. Once again, with the church school, it's whatever your church school requires. You'll find that the best way to keep your records is an Excel spreadsheet. I found makes it super easy. It self-calculates your grades. If you go to our school Facebook page, the Homeschool Alabama page, and watch the little slideshow, there's a free downloadable gradebook that you can use, absolutely free. You don't have to use that one. You can create your own, or you can do it on paper. Some people really prefer the whole paper and pen thing. Paper and pen works for some folks, but that requires a calculator. And our Excel spreadsheets make it so that you can do one-touch report cards, very easy. Like I said, in my experience, I found that to be most helpful. You'll also find that reporting varies from church school to church school. Some want paper, some want online reporting. Some require that you use homeschoolreporting.com, which is another subscription service. Lots and lots of available options, and that's a service you can use if you choose to. with or without, membership in your church school, because those can be a self-pay kind of thing. When it comes to socialization, that's the big question, right? Everybody asks about, so what about socialization? Well, in our community in the city of Huntsville, you basically have to want to be unsocialized to be a homeschooler in this community. If you just absolutely refuse to get out, I guess you could be unsocialized. But our calendars are full of opportunities. All of the museums offer great opportunities for socialization. There we have the AYSO, we have all the upward sports, we have our church communities, and our support group offers field trips and activities in addition to all of that. Here in the state of Alabama, at least in the North Alabama region, you're going to find that we have, and that's the other thing is, as a member of Hope, you can hop online and post an event. If you get a wild hair and want to go visit the local firehouse, you call them up and ask them, how many people can I bring? Because those firehouse tours are going to fill. You'll find that any Hope member can sign up and make their own event. We just ask that you connect with our field trip. She doesn't already have another event planned for that day. We want to make sure and keep one big calendar instead of 100 little calendars. It's a great opportunity to connect with other kids, other families. And that's the other thing about socialization. We talk about socialization with homeschoolers versus public school. In public school, they'll often ask, so how many third graders do you have? How many third graders? Well, the reality is our kids don't socialize. Our third grade kids don't socialize with just third grade kids. In part because when we talk about grades, once again, just like that customized curriculum, you'll find a kid who's in third grade language arts, science, and social studies, fifth grade math. Not uncommon to see them working at different levels. And that's why when you ask them what grade they're in, they kind of look at you and go, I don't know, Mom, what grade am I in? Most of us just give them the lowest grade level that they're working at. And that's one of the beauties of homeschooling is our kids connect with students across broad age ranges and grade ranges, because they're not in a classroom where those third graders are only in a classroom with 8 to 9-year-old children. Our third graders are in classes. A lot of times they're going to be in classes with third to fifth graders or first to third graders, depending on where they're taking their co-ops. They'll be in sorry about that little mute. Apparently my phone is trying to talk to me. The wonderful thing about the socialization of homeschoolers is the research shows that homeschoolers perform better once they're outside their homeschooling environment. Colleges are looking for them because they perform on a social level better than their public school peers statistically. They tend to be more engaged in club activities and things like that on campus and tend to thrive in the work environment. So the old, what about socialization is really kind of a non-issue. High school. High school is one of those kind of cool things that happens for all of us. And it's some people are intimidated by high school, but it's actually one of my favorite times in our homeschool journey. It was a lot of fun. The enrichment activities are so much more interesting to the adults because let's face it, third grade arts and crafts are a little tedious for us adults. But man, rocketry, that was fun. That was a total blast for some of us. Yes, pun intended. I'm a little punny, sorry. Rocketry, archery, going to hockey games, connecting with other families when we were doing jewelry making classes and quilting and all of these wonderful experiences. We made cheese at co-op. Um, these are some of the wonderful opportunities that we're given uh, in our local communities because we have parents who are willing to invest in their kids. Um, it is a sacrifice. Home education is absolutely a sacrifice, uh, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to see that excitement in their eyes, to see the light shining from inside when the kids get really excited about an activity. High school comes with its own set of challenges. We're going to talk more about those in our next seminar at 1 o'clock today. When we get to high school, the first high school classes you can take is in 8th grade, we can take up to 3 classes. And those are at a high school level. Those are not 8th grade classes. If your child is taking advanced math or taking an advanced language arts class. Um, that gives them the opportunity to be able to take some of those high school classes a little early. It's not required. It's something that if they're academically advanced, they can go ahead and knock those classes out. But if they don't, that's fine. High school, it means more challenging information, more challenging education. Um, and when we talk about high school credits, that's one of those things that people don't understand. High school credit is also known as a Carnegie unit. And that Carnegie unit, yes, refers back to the old uh, tycoon back in the Industrial Revolution, and Andrew Carnegie. He was looking for ways to compare apples to apples when issuing scholarships for college. And so high school credits were invented, and we still use the Carnegie system all these years later. And the Carnegie system is between 120 and 150 hours in class. So there are 2 ways to earn a high school credit. One, to complete an entire curriculum, book with all the assignments and that type of thing, or most curriculums are designed to take between 160 and 180 days at 45-minute classes. 160 days of 45-minute class means 120 hours. So they're designed to take that long. If your child moves through the material much more quickly, so be it. So if you complete the entire curriculum, including all of the assigned like end of chapter reports and things like that, then you can assign a high school credit based upon that. Or you can track hours. That Excel spreadsheet that you get for free at the end of our Homeschool 101 online will also help you track those hours. It's not just attendance, it'll actually help you track class by class how many hours your student has spent on each individual class. So that's kind of high school in a nutshell. And then we can talk a little bit about HSLEA. HSLEA is Homeschool Legal Defense Association. It's basically prepaid legal for homeschoolers. So if you have a question about, can my 15-year-old work for the family business, please contact HSLDA, because there are some caveats. There are some questions there that need to be answered that I'm not qualified to answer. They're lawyers. That's what they do. They're there to defend our homeschooling freedoms and to help us make sure that we stay within the parameters of the law. So do we have any questions? Any questions? No? Okay. Well, then I'm going to share a few. Oh, got a question. Yay. What you got? Maybe not. You? Okay. So let's share some of
Sorry, I'm good. It just kind of, I don't know.
the audio's being weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple of tips and tricks that I like to share with new homeschoolers. A little bit about myself. I wanted a house full of kids. The Lord blessed me with one. I was told by 3 specialists he's not possible. So I will often refer to him as my miracle baby. So as I said, I always wanted a house full. The the really cool thing about this is, even though he's an only child, he wasn't raised like an only child, because we were always involved in a co-op. A co-op is a great way to get that weekly interaction, biweekly interaction with your only children. It's a great blessing for the moms. I'll be honest with you, when we had a weather day or something, I missed going. And not because I missed, the rabble of kids, because I missed some of the mom time. We need each other. And that's part of the reason we started the Hope Support Group, was because the moms, we all need to speak to somebody older than our kids. We need to speak to other adults who understand us. And wherever you're at, I'm going to encourage you to find a network of moms. I have two sisters who teach in the public school system in Texas, and we've had some long conversations about the Teachers Lounge. The Hope Support Group online is our online Teachers Lounge. We want that to be a safe space, no kids, just to give us a place to go, oh my gosh, little Johnny is having a pencil allergy. If you're not familiar with a pencil allergy, it's characterized by the sudden fascination with dust motes. They need to eat, sleep, walk the dog, do chores, anything in lieu of schoolwork. It happens in public school too. That's why they have a teacher's lounge, so they can go and vent, so they can go and unpack that stuff, so that they can problem solve together. And that's what our Hope Support Group online is. It's not just field trips and activities. It really is your teacher's lounge. Um, because as much as we love our children, sometimes we need to just unpack the stuff so that that big yellow school bus doesn't look quite so fascinating in the afternoon, because the temptation is there. The temptation is there. Um, the other thing is, a little bit about myself. I'm a big carrot, little stick kind of mom. So I believe in raising with praise, and I believe in positive reinforcement. Yeah, my mom calls them bribes, and I guess you could call it that. Um, when my son was young, he didn't like to read. He was good at it, but he didn't like to read. So I had all these encouraging things. I had the uh, I had the Chuck E. Cheese calendar. We used to on off so many days, and you get tokens and all this kind of stuff. They still do that. We did book it with Pizza Hut. We did all of those things. And the thing that worked best, because I didn't just require reading, I required a book report for all of his required reading, because I wanted to encourage him to write in anticipation of high school and college, where all you're going to do is write papers. So I wanted him to kind of get in that rhythm, because middle school is really the first time in public school where you have to write papers on a regular basis. So I had him write little book reports and that kind of thing, starting as, when he was really small. But what we did is, if he completed a worksheet on time or wrote his book report, he could earn what we called computer bucks. And we used that as a merit demerit system. Oh, well, he never lost computer bucks because those were earned. And so what he did is, he could earn computer bucks if he completed his book report and he got an A on it. And if he got a 90, he got 9.5 computer bucks. And those computer bucks were redeemable minute for minute for computer time during the school day. So if he completed his assignments, he could either read until his daddy got home, or he could play on his computer, only learning games. We did not play Minecraft or any of that stuff in class, unless of course you're a Minecraft education kind of fan. That was not a thing when my son was little. It was still in its infancy then. But he did play a lot of Math Blasters. So he had a lot of worksheets. He hated to do worksheets, his little math worksheets. He hated them. And he's good at math. He just hated doing the handwriting. So when he did copy work, when he did handwriting, when he did his math worksheets, um, he would actually get points. I would tell him, I after a while, you can kind of look at a worksheet and go, oh, okay, that's a 15-minute worksheet. Most of your worksheets are going to be 10 to 15 minutes. They're not going to be very long. So it's like, okay, that should take about 10, 15 minutes. So I'll give him 20 minutes. And I put a little 20 and a red pen in the corner. I never used a red pen except to give him times because I didn't want him to hate the red pen. But boy, he hates the pink highlighter because I would not mark his papers wrong. I would highlight his mistake and ask him what he did wrong. So we were encouraging that deductive reasoning instead of just going, nope, you're wrong, and then write in the right answer. We would then discuss the right answer. But I never marked things in red pen. I just highlighted them in pink, and then he would explain to me what was wrong to encourage him to proof his own papers. But back to the computer bugs. If this worksheet's supposed to take 15 minutes, I would put a 20 in the corner, and he had a little egg timer. Being an only child, he didn't have the other students to race against to see who could get done first. So he raced against the egg timer. We would give him 20 minutes on the egg timer. If he finished it on time, great. If he got 95% of the answers correct, then he got a 95. He got 9.5 computer bucks. If that same worksheet took him 25 minutes because he was too busy, I don't know, going to the bathroom 15 times, playing with cat, whatever, then he would start to lose points. So that 20, if it became 25 minutes, if he spent 25 minutes on that 15-minute worksheet that I gave him 5 extra minutes on, then I started deducting points. So those 5 minutes cost him 5 points. So those 5 points would take it from a 95 to a 90. So he'd only get 9 computer bucks. So that was eating away at his time to play Math Blasters or Sinister Speller or Multiply, Divide, and Conquer or Letters on the Loose or whatever that happened to be at the time. We had all kinds of learning games he could play. But that was an encouragement for him. I tell people I'm a big carrot little stick mom, but I also would beat him over the head with that carrot. Because here's the bonus, you're doing good, but you're gonna continue to get encouragement if you continue to perform. And we explained to him, if dad goes to work and he doesn't do his job, he loses his job. He loses his job, he loses his money. And then we have to find another way to pay for the house payment. So once again, it was a translation. You work, you get computer bucks to buy the things you want. You can use those computer bucks to buy learning games during the day instead of having just additional reading or, some fun art projects and things in the afternoon, because I always had something in a box, which is a system called workboxing. Another little tip, especially in early ages, 1st through 5th-ish, workboxing is something that the public school system does, and they call them stations, where they'll have a station where you can do some independent work. For homeschool moms, it's mom really needs to do some laundry kind of thing. It's like there's a workbox, go pick one out, and you have a complete project. So if you're doing a little lap book, then there's a little book for them to read and all the pieces for the lap book, including the tape, glue, scissors, markers, whatever, are all in the little box ready to be used. Or you'll have everything but the art supplies, and there's a whole little drawer set for the art supplies, and they know where to find them. But a workbox is supposed to have everything in it that you need for a whole project. So it can be a prepackaged thing, or it can be something that you put together. But quite frankly, even as homeschool moms, we need the kids to do a little bit of self-soothing, a little bit of independent learning, so that we have time to, I don't know, occasionally mop the floor, do some laundry. So, because as a homeschool mom, we don't generally get a planning period. But workboxing gives you that planning period to check your emails, to take care of, grading papers, to take care of, I don't know, cooking dinner. So that's another opportunity for independent learning. So is there anything, any challenges that you have that I could help you with? I'm happy to answer any questions, and maybe you have an answer, maybe you don't.
I love those ideas. I really am excited about that, hearing those things. I'm really frustrated because, well, right now I have an 11-year-old son, and he's been giving me a lot of grief. And about any kind of learning. He hates learning. He hated it in school. We started officially homeschooling of March of last year. We when we pulled them out of the we pulled them we virtual schooled, and then we pulled them out completely. I started a structured, more traditional, just all Becca this past August. And then, as we got pretty much as we just time keeps going by, we keep dropping things and just kind of trying to, I don't know, work around what they don't like, right? So Sam has a visual processing disorder. So we don't do the spelling words because that's hard. There's like 20, and they're on his level. So we, I don't know, just trying to tweak things to make it workable so we can keep moving forward, where he hates everything. He don't want to do anything. And I know part of that is I need to push him. Um, I hear this idea of deschooling or unschooling, and I'm just not ready to kind of go out there yet to say that, like I'm going to let everything go, because then I don't, I don't know. I have no way of monitoring how he's doing right now.
Okay. Well,
I
there's a
guess there's a question in there somewhere. I'm just really discouraged. Like, for example, he hates the language work. So what I did, I saw where a lady just had them write whatever they wanted about, just write a page. And then instead of making them do grammar lessons, we just, like you said, highlight the mistakes, and I explain why it's, and have them correct them. But that takes, like, 10 minutes, and it doesn't seem like enough. And so how do we fill our days? And I don't know if I just need to, at this point in the year, just say, look, let's look for a unit stay. Let's find something you want to do. I don't know.
That's called
That's a
delightment.
lot.
There's nothing wrong with it. I want to explain.
Right.
A lot of people think to do called home. There are two schools of thought. There's three actually. One is school at home. I have a friend who I love dearly, and I know at 9 o'clock she's going to be doing English. At 10 o'clock she's doing math. 11 o'clock she's doing science. I'm not.
Oh my goodness. I'm listening.
So she'll spend, an hour on each one of these subjects. She has everything laid out by the hour. That would drive me insane, and it would drive my son insane. That is not his thing. We did what's called an eclectic approach, and the term deschooling. There are a lot of students who need to slow down just a minute and get their head out of the public school space, because they're anticipating at 8 we're going to do this, at 9 we're going to do that, at 10 we're going to do this, because that's how they've been trained, especially one who's been in school for a couple of years. And by the time we're 11, we've been in school for 5 years now, almost 6, right? So we're looking at 6th grade. These are kids who've been trained that this is what school looks like. So you have to reinvent what school looks like. Unit studies are a great way to accommodate that. But there, once again, I'm all about big carrot, little stick. One of the things you can do is you can find out what old Dr. Phil likes to call, what's his currency. For my son, it was hockey, and it was swimming, and it was archery. So what we did is I had, and scouts, oh goodness, I was scout leader. And so he had to, if he didn't get his schoolwork done, we would go on field trips, and he would have to sit on the sidelines and watch and do his schoolwork. Because field trips were a reward. Field trips, hockey, swimming, archery, those were all rewards, okay, for good attendance. Because just like in the workplace, and I told him, I said, just like in the workplace, You know, my husband wouldn't have, if he were working, he would not be invited to outside the workplace things if he didn't get his job done. So we explained it to him that we're trying to prepare you for life by giving you the extras when you have done what is required. Like I said, big carrot, little stick. And I might beat him over the head with that carrot, but here are the carrots. And so I had a calendar on his bedroom door. I would put all the field trips activities, sports activities, co-op days, all this kind of thing on his door so he could see it. I put it at his eye level so he could see what was coming up. And he knew if he didn't get his schoolwork done, guess what? He was going to have to miss out, and he was going to have to sit at the pool in street clothes because I was leading the meeting. He would have to sit at the pool in street clothes doing his math work.
I like that.
And he accommodates a lot of different principles. I'm a big fan of unit studies, especially in the year. And with multiple children, if you can do unit studies, them are designed for K all the way through K8, all the way K12. But you can use the same unit study. We all read the same together. The oldest one or two children read the unit. So the are that information. So you can all do that, and everybody will have that book basically. So the little guys on that bigger kids are using colored pencils and they're keeping it a little closer in the lines. The even bigger kids are actually writing an actual report, and it's all about information. Tell you the scale, you know, top work for, you know, the early grades, and then they'll have more in-depth top work for the upper grades, and then, you know, some of these others that they're not going to want them to do copy work. It'll or two to put in their lap book. And you can buy those on teachers. They've got that lap. They're really cool. Your own. You can buy their little templates if you want to use those. But that's the beauty, is when you get down to math and when you get to science and social studies, you can use science and social studies to teach language arts. And I'm a big fan, like I said, of the pink highlighter. All the students who've ever been in my classes, because I've taught government, I've taught speech and debate, and I've taught environmental science, they hate the pink highlighter. But I never told them they were wrong. I just showed them where the mistakes were and then had them correct them. Because we want to make sure that people understand everybody makes a boo-boo, okay? The pink highlighter just gives you an opportunity to correct it and to help you find your boo-boos before you turn them in to the next teacher. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. It does.
The other thing,
So find
my son didn't like to write. He's a really gifted writer. Matter of fact, in college, his freshman year at Drake, his professor tried to talk him into going into journalism. He said, "You
Really?
need to be, yeah." He says, "You need to be in journal. You need to be journalist. You need to write." It truly writer. My son looked at him and rolled his eyes. He's a great writer. He's a so we used pen pals. He would write, and we used email. But he didn't like to type,
Yeah.
so we'd use email pals. Best friends from little bitty when they were at story time at the library when we lived in New Mexico. She lives in Arizona now. We live in Alabama, and so they would email back and forth. And before he was allowed to send it, I would hit print screen. I would print it, and I would highlight the problems, and then we would discuss what was wrong, because he didn't know all the grammar rules then, because he was bitty. I mean, we're talking 5, 6.
Yeah.
We were just grammar, and that was a great introduction to grammar. So he could email his best friend. And get me wrong, they sent cards and things to each other and postcards and flat Stanleys back and forth. But on a regular basis, they would email each other a couple of times a week. And that was a great opportunity that we could use for to study language. Emailing a buddy.
Okay.
And even if you have a friend across town, it doesn't have to be a friend in another state. They can email each other. Just make sure you hit the print screen and go over it with a highlighter and tell them, we want to make sure that your message is clear. And so go through and you can talk to this other mom and say, hey, look, fell back and forth with he did some of that.
Okay. Good deal. We've had such a this past month, we've had so many illnesses, and especially and outside the family, and just it seems like every week something lately has been upending our schedule. And I can't have, like you said, that like every day is going to have exactly the same thing laid out. I've tried that. I can't do it. I can have kind of a loose structure, but I can't have exact structure, and that makes me nervous because Olive is she's got some special needs where I've been told, well, public school will provide that structure that she really needs, and I'm like, well, crap, I really need to do that. And I try, but it can't be the same every day. I just tell them, look, every day we kind of have the same things. And they kind of know what to expect, and then we just go with it. So I guess that's okay to hear that. I was going to say, lately it's been so chaotic, and I've done things like, okay, Olive, get on ABC Mouse, feed your pets. They require you to do lessons there, little things, write down something to your friends. Sam, just read this or copy this page out of, a book. And that's been all we've been doing, and that's making me nervous because we're not, following the book. And and right now I'm just kind of in this crazy moment where I'm like, crap, it's March, and we're just, all over the place. So
I'm going to give you another one of my tips and tricks. And through grade, you're going to laugh. I went online and bought comprehensive curriculum workbooks. They're simple. Now, we did the light learning, didn't do them all in order, but we used it as a guide to kind of go through and make sure that we covered all the bases. Those comprehensive curriculum workbooks, they're about this. That is not a whole year's worth of schoolwork for a child. So we use those as kind of a jumping off point. That would be one worksheet out of 6 or 8 assignments that we would do on that particular topic. So I'd say, okay, well, you can go through the book and pick something out and we'll get started, but we're going to have to finish the book before we're done. So if he picked, I don't know, the laws of motion. So we would do, a worksheet on laws of motion, then we would do a light book on laws of motion. We would do some fun experiments on laws of motion, and I'd have him write a little report about Isaac Newton. So we would have him do all of these different things. And the other thing that we used, and it kind of helped tie everything together because we did some delight-led learning when he was young. We used what's called timeline history. I still have this giant 3-inch binder that I put all the timeline stuff in, and we would add to it. So you could see where all the connections were. You could see where the secular and sacred history from the time he was little all the way through high school. And when we were doing U.S. government and we talked about ancient history and we talked about all the Civil War stuff, you could, with that particular timeline, it was called the Brandenburg Project. I got it off of a place that used to be called Kirklick. It's out of business, but you can get some of that stuff on Teachers Pay Teachers.
You said
it was a download.
What project? You said?
The Brandenburg Project. I don't know if it's available, but it's just a timeline. And I found one out better later on, and I can't remember the name of it, but I used it. Taught. I did a class at co-op called the Bible and World History, and talking about the timeline of what was going on in the world versus what was going on in the scriptures and how it all fit together. The Protestant Reformation was a lot of that, so we actually stretched the timeline out. It talks about 4 different regions of the world. It didn't separate things by secular and sacred, which the Brandenburg Project did. It had, secular history above, so the secular and the sacred intersected. But as far as I'm concerned, secular and sacred are very. So it talked about different zones in the world. It was Asia, North and South America, 5 different regions. And so it talked about 5 different regions of the world, and then it had all the timelines, and then you had one time scale. So it gave you a lot more room to write. For another, it talked about what's happening in the world. And so you can look up to see where this intersections were. I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll see if I can dig it because I think it came off teacher. It was really interesting. Timelines help kids because we don't talk about the going on in Europe, but think what's happening. Think about what's happening. So that gives you that goes right along with your timeline. All the time. So the lab book do a study on Wright brothers. Talk about add that to the timeline, start to see how all of it together of knowledge for the Industrial Revolution helps.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. I'll look those up. That helps a lot.
And like I said, that curriculum workbook, I think the first one we gave, I thought, oh, and it was all black and white, and it was coloring pages and that because it was like kindergarten, and it was the way his brain worked. That was not gifted. Yeah, a skeleton curriculum used for book like or life hack, whatever. Use those all of their contents and bounce around science and history. I really would do that because it makes. But online at night project audit recommended that you go scroll like around the room, down the hallway. Man, I didn't have a hallway. I've got a long hallway because they broke it down an opportunity to set your time. So history, we like 100-year increments. But man, when we got to the Industrial Revolution, we were down to 1 year because there was so much going on. But you can, as things happen.
Okay. No, it does. It does. All right. Well, I feel better now. Thank you.
Because my job is to try to facilitate. That's the way I to do my best to help you find the tools you need to educate us and to start
Okay.
a journey. And anytime you have questions, if visual or who's having trouble in algebra, okay, and you have a recommendation, you can always use Hope for that. Please feel free to post those things.
Okay.
There is no shame.
Okay.
Help, because we are your teacher now. And okay. We'll find a coffee shop.
Okay. Uh-oh. Well, thank you.
Whatever.
All right, I didn't hear that last part.
I said,
Broke.
if you
What'd you say?
I said with multiple kids in the household, sit in your bathroom to get the quiet time to have that time, and you don't have anybody to watch the kids, we'll meet you in the bathroom on Zoom, and it's okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's great.
We have
Good deal.
we've had moms of multiples who we have this oddly familiar echo in the back of the meeting.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
pile echoes. I'm just saying. We knew where they were. It's okay because we live together and we're you. Okay.
Okay.
Oh
my goodness.
Christ. You know what? If we can't talk to Zoom, okay?
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Constance.
God bless
Hey,
you.
Olive, do you want to say goodbye to
Don't
Miss
hesitate.
Constance?
All.
Okay. Thank you. Did you want to say goodbye? Oh, she's gone. She's not interested anymore. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
You have a blessed day and call anytime you have questions, okay?
Hey, you too.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.